the Legal Corner podcast series. Welcome to today's episode of The Legal Corner, a podcast which covers a variety of legal issues to keep you informed. Hosted by attorney at law Colin Dinoon and communications specialist Leonardo Torres.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Legal Corner podcast series. I am your host, Colin Dinoon, attorney at law. My co-host, Leonardo Torres, won't be with us today as he is otherwise engaged with work commitments. But have no fear, I'm happy to bring you another engaging and stimulated episode. The podcast is on the road today as I am recording in Tobago for the first time. So this is a red letter day and a historic day for our podcast as we are recording our first episode on location in Tobago. Too bad Leonardo couldn't be here with us. All right, but who knows, maybe one of these days you'd be able to join in. To all our regular listeners, I would like to say thank you for your continued support. If you are listening to this podcast for the first time, you may be wondering, what is the Legal Corner podcast? Well, the Legal Corner podcast series is a bi-monthly show originating in the Twin Island nation of Trinidad and Tobago and is aimed at providing you with insights into various aspects of the law. In today's episode, we'll be looking at citizenship by investment. Over 100 countries worldwide have varying forms of migratory legislation. Some countries permit persons to become citizens upon having made a substantial financial contribution into the local economy. One such country is our CARICOM neighbor of St. Kitts and Nevis. Joining us on the show today to provide some insight into this innovative concept is Mrs. Keinya Blake Gordon. Keinya Blake Gordon is a seasoned, skilled attorney at law practicing since 2003. Ms. Blake Gordon possesses superior communication, organizational, public relations, and interpersonal skills. Her clients regard her as a positive, well-educated, competent attorney who represents their particular interests. Ms. Blake Gordon attended the University of the West Indies Law Program where she graduated with honors, earning a Bachelor of Law degree in 2001. In addition, she continued her legal education at the Hugh Wooding Law School where, in 2003, she obtained her legal education certificate. Ms. Blake Gordon is called to the bars of Trinidad and Tobago, 2003, St. Kitts and Nevis, 2004, Anguilla, 2004, and Jamaica, 2009. She's also a notary public registered in St. Kitts and Nevis for the Eastern Caribbean territories. As a general practitioner and an experienced litigator, Ms. Blake Gordon has represented clients through all levels of court in various countries over the years. Ms. Blake Gordon firmly believes that we live in a global village and aims to facilitate business and migration of companies and people within the ambit of the law. Since 2009, this belief has seen a shift in her practice areas, primarily from litigation to specializing in resort and property development, real estate transactions, commercial law, private international law, investor immigration, and all incidental matters thereto. Ms. Blake Gordon is also a Trinidad and Tobago national, and she is my relative. So welcome to the Legal Corner today, Keinya. How are you?
I am fine, thank you, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So how are you?
I am well. I am excellent. How are things in St. Kitts?
Right now, St. Kitts is exceedingly hot. I think we start summer earlier than everybody else. So we are as hot could be.
Wow.
But things are good. Things are good.
I understand. Okay. That is excellent. I'm glad to have you here, and I know we're going to be having an interesting discussion on this whole area of citizenship by investment. So I want us to jump right into it and tell us what was the rationale behind the creation of the St. Kitts Citizenship by Investment Program.
Okay. St. Kitts and Nevis, I think, were quite ingenious as a nation when they decided to have the Citizenship by Investment Program, because this was actually established in 1984, right after their independence. So St. Kitts and Nevis actually had their Citizenship Act in 1984 that allowed citizens to be registered by making a contribution, a financial contribution as prescribed by the minister, so that they can be a citizen of the jurisdiction and have full rights, save and accept voting rights within the jurisdiction.
Wow, that's interesting. I wasn't aware that it was so long since that statutory regime was implemented since 1984. And like you said, that really and truly was a very forward-thinking initiative by the government. You know, what is the process of becoming a citizen by investment?
In order to be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, or to be considered to be a citizen, what you would have to do is fulfill the basic requirements of being 18 years and over in order to submit your application. You would have to be a person of good repute. And when I say that, meaning that you are not supposed to have any criminal record, you are not on any list, because you know that there are a plethora of lists as it relates to terrorism, financial crimes, and otherwise. So, and also you must be a high net worth individual. And the reason why I say that, and I think it's very important that people understand, is that when this program was designed, it was designed to attract foreign direct investment within the country. So if you have a high net worth individual, and it's not just that you can afford to apply, but what your contribution will be to the society is something that they pay particular attention to. So for instance, like I say, let's say you can afford, you're an athlete, you are a really good musician, you are a scholar, anything that will advance the culture, the socio-economic diversification of the jurisdiction is what they would be looking for. So a main applicant, 18 years and over, you can afford the investment, you meet the requirements, you also have a clean record as a citizen of any other country or any other territory.
Now, are there any countries that are debarred? So, for example, are any countries blacklisted from participating in this program?
Yes, they are. And essentially, the countries that are disbarred are the countries that would be doing the same things that St. Kitts and Nevis does not want, which would be you are part of terrorism, you are oppressing people from a humanitarian perspective, because this is a Caribbean territory that allows for freedom, freedom of movement, freedom to practice your religious rights, freedom to exercise all the natural human rights that you are allowed to exercise. The the economic citizenship program usually goes along with what is going on in the world from a world perspective. And the reason why I'm saying that is that we want the best of the best to enter within the territory, because you want to have good seeds to be germinated within your society so that you can bring forward fruit, like you want to advance the society of St. Kitts and Nevis, propel the people forward. So, you pick and choose who you want to come in your jurisdiction. So when I say we follow what is happening in the world, so for instance, if there is war going on in a particular territory, there's humanitarian rights that are breached in a particular territory, the country as a whole will make a decision and say, well, these are the citizens of this country that we will not consider as an applicant because it is not within the best interest of St. Kitts and Nevis to have them apply.
How does politics play out in this whole question of citizenship by investment? So, for example, is it possible that someone may be aligned with a particular party and it would make it easier for them to become a citizen? Or the St. Kitts doesn't have that problem?
No, in no lifetime. The application is above politics. Let me let you know that for sure. Because, like I said, the importance of the program being initiated right after independence. So it is a part of the legislative framework. It is a part of the veins, I should say, of St. Kitts and Nevis. So your application goes to what is the Citizenship by Investment Unit. So that unit, even though it is a government body, it is independent in the sense when it comes to making decisions as it relates to who could become a citizen. So you can't look up a local politician and say, oh, by the way, can you hook me up with citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis? That is happening in no shape or form.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that it's a unit that is completely insulated from political interference. But what about appeals? So if someone applies to be a citizen, an economic citizen, and they are not granted approval, is there a mechanism where they can challenge the decision, or is there any sort of appellate process involved?
But the appellate process has been changed over the years. There would have been what we would call a technical committee. So if the Citizenship by Investment Unit comes and say, well, by the way, we do not consider that you are a fit and proper applicant, and denies your application, you would have an opportunity to go to the technical committee to determine whether that decision was in fact correct. So then the technical committee will come together. That will be a member of national security. It will be a member of the Citizenship by Investment Unit stating exactly why they did not want them to be there in the first place, and would present all the evidence. And when I say evidence, I mean the due diligence records, all the documents that you would have submitted on your application. And they will determine whether the decision of the citizenship unit to say, look, no, we don't want this person as a citizen at all, and weight against what is, like I say, as a country position. And when I say country position, I mean whether it is in the best interest of St. Kitts and Nevis to have this person as a citizen, irrespective of all that is presented, or like there is a point where you say, well, maybe you are being too stringent on this, or let us do further due diligence. And if further due diligence is required, then that will be communicated, and they will move forward to see, well, okay, you have to present these documents. And if the additional documents that you presented are good enough, yes, you may be successful. And if, again, it still didn't clarify whatever issue required clarification, then you're going to be denied flat out. And it is what it is. It's a choice of the country to determine whoever they want as a citizen within their jurisdiction.
Excellent. And also, would there be any administrative law considerations? So, for example, yes, there may be that technical committee and so on, but would there be a further recourse to the court system? So, for example, the High Court, was there anything further?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is not, you are not applying to be a citizen as of right. That is not your right to apply to citizenship, to be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. You are making the application based on the provision that says you can be registered as an applicant. Sorry, you can be registered as a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis as long as you satisfy the requirements as prescribed by the Citizenship Act and also the Citizenship Regulations. So if you were denied and you feel like if your rights were infringed, you have no standing to go before the court to say that I think it's personal, because nothing about it will be personal. The whole process is extremely transparent. And if you are denied, they are going to state the reasons why you are actually denied. And chances are, like I say, if you are denied, like a flat out denial will have to be like if you are supporting terrorism, contributing to it, or a terrorist yourself, or for instance, you have financial crimes against you. You have a lot of these things that, like I said, play out on an international scale that will determine whether you are a fit and proper person to be a citizen. But you have no recourse to the local courts in order to come and contest your denial.
Okay, excellent. Now, you would have mentioned the Citizenship Act and the Citizenship Regulations. Are there any other legislation which govern this whole process of becoming a citizen by investment?
No, those two are the ones that are used. So, like I said, the Citizenship by Investment Act was in 1984. In 2011, you have a further breakdown of how the entire process will be by the Citizenship Regulation. I think it would be helpful if I let you know of the entire process in terms of application. Remember, I told you had to be 18 years and older, you had to have a clean criminal record. Your health record is also required. And the reason why I'm saying your health record is required, this is a jurisdiction that will like to know what is going on within their society as from a criminal perspective, health perspective. So whatever is going on with you, they want to know, and that is a part of the application as well. So once you make that application, you provide all the supporting documents in terms of your profession, your financial background, and the question as it relates to your financial background is to determine whether you can make the investment within which is one of the requirements that you must satisfy. And also they will want to know the reason why they ask you for your educational background and your professional background, because they are looking for certain persons who will improve the society on that level. You have to fill a lot of documents. Then also you will have to provide the supporting documents, and the application is made on your behalf through what we call an authorized person. So you don't walk up to the citizenship unit, or there are no forms online that you go and fill in and say, I want to be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. So you consult a lawyer. I always advise people consult a lawyer of your jurisdiction and also consult an authorized person within the territory. Now, an authorized person is somebody who the Financial Services Regulatory Commission here would have approved as a person qualified in order to make the submission of that citizenship application on your behalf. So once you are qualified, you go to your authorized person. You as an applicant, all the documents are filled in. The authorized person will make the application to the citizenship unit on your behalf. So the authorized person literally will be your face or your representative in your citizenship application for the duration.
And the authorized person would be an attorney at law?
It will be an attorney at law or a chartered accountant. They are the ones who qualify to be an authorized person.
Okay, excellent. At this point in time, we'll just take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Keinya, before the break, you were giving us a nice rundown in terms of the process and what is required to actually file an application. I wanted to know from you where you stand, given that this project has been in existence, or this program has been in existence since 1984. Would you say that the program has been successful thus far?
I would definitely say it has been successful. Now, remember, I am an outsider coming in. So as a CARICOM national, I would have had the benefit of seeing St. Kitts and Nevis transform over the years. And the transformation has been in part by that same direct foreign investment that is being made by these economic citizenship applicants. And you see like there is a change in terms of the entire landscape of the jurisdiction. There are more hotels where you could actually stay. You could come and have a better visit. There are a lot of infrastructure that has put in place that has been done as a result of the contributions that these investors would have made. There is also like so many employment opportunities that have opened up. So I wouldn't want to say that it is a prosperity package, but it has certainly done well for the jurisdiction as I've seen it over the years.
Now, what benefits accrue to persons who become economic citizens?
Well, the benefits are, I think, so much. So for instance, one, you will be a citizen of a nation that allows for dual citizenship. There is no tax on personal income. When you have a passport of the jurisdiction, you are able to travel visa-free to 125 countries, including the United Kingdom, the European Union, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Right? You can relocate to a climate that is tropical. I would advocate for that always. You can do it now, or you can do it in your retirement. You can set up companies here, which is another thing that I'm all for. You can set up either a local or an offshore company. If you set up an offshore company, you can do business without any local taxes being applicable to you. There are no withholding tax, no worldwide tax, capital gain tax. For estate planners, there are no tax on inheritance. So, it's a lot of benefits from that perspective. So, and you are also in a safe climate and you are free to invest and the people are warm and friendly. I will definitely say come and be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. And again, I say that from the perspective of a non-national.
Wow, it sounds very, very appealing. Something to keep in mind.
There is something that
Right.
I must say that is really critical. And it is that when you have high net worth individuals, they are always very conscious about privacy. And one thing I can say, whether you are an applicant or you are a citizen, there is no official record of it published anywhere in St. Kitts and Nevis. So you can't walk up to the citizenship unit and say, let me see a list of your citizens or anywhere for that matter. So the privacy aspect of it is very important.
Now, what checks and balances exist to ensure that undesirable persons do not become citizens?
For sure, they have an extremely rigorous due diligence program. So once you submit all of your documentation to the citizenship unit, so they will send off your documents and they will do whatever checks they have internally as well to ensure that you are fit and proper person to be an applicant. And in order to do that, they literally scan you through all the possible worldwide entities that you could be listed on or registered anywhere. The due diligence companies that are chosen will physically go into the jurisdiction that you are in to make sure that everything that you have submitted are correct, above board, and just to make sure that you are fit and proper person. So you're not going to just manufacture documents, say that you were in some far, far land away and St. Kitts and Nevis isn't up to par as it relates to their due diligence programs, their communication with the wider world, because they take this very seriously. That is it. Because it is important to understand that, yes, you are saying come to St. Kitts and Nevis to be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, but because there is this visa-free travel to 125 countries, you have to be mindful that St. Kitts and Nevis wants to maintain relationship with these 125 countries as well. So in the acceptance of any citizen or any applicant within the jurisdiction, you have to make sure that this is a fit and proper person that will fit within the society and the global society as a whole.
Okay, I want to ask you a question about persons slipping through the cracks, right? But to put some context into the first time I remember hearing about this program was by means of an Al Jazeera documentary. I'm not sure if you saw it, where it looked into the whole question of citizenship by investment and so on. And it cast certain aspersions, basically may not necessarily be applicable to St. Kitts, but the whole aspect of persons becoming citizens and then they influencing the politics and using the monies basically to buy influence. So I want to know if there are any instances in St. Kitts that you are familiar with where persons would have slipped through the cracks. You know, someone would have become an economic citizen and then later on, you realize that this person was some sort of undesirable person. Obviously, I don't expect you to call any names, but you can just. I know you're an attorney and you know how to answer that question, but I'm sure our audience would just like to know. This program can't be so perfect. There must have been some sort of slip up somewhere along the line. So I just want to know if you are familiar with any sort of instances like that.
The program is perfect. But to be honest, once as I have explained to you the entire process that you would have had to go through, and once you are successful and you are a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, you would have been as clean could be. So therefore, once you are a citizen, so just say after you have obtained your citizenship and you have your brand new passport and you are traveling and you decide to get involved in nefarious activities, then that is something that the country will look at from a citizen perspective. So it is not necessarily that they slipped through the cracks like, we didn't pick this up on due diligence or the government overlooked this or some money passed somewhere so that this person could fly under the radar. It isn't anything like that. Usually what I would have seen, and I'm speaking of not just St. Kitts and Nevis, but for all the other territories that would have done citizenship by investment and have these persons that things were discovered after the fact, or they would have committed some crime or something that against some jurisdiction after they have actually obtained citizenship. So now what will happen there is that a decision will have to be made whether your citizenship will be revoked. And a revocation of such citizenship is like if you would have done the exact same things that we are discussing now. Let's say you are a terrorist, you would have stolen money, you would have done whatever. They would have taken the necessary steps in order to revoke your citizenship. Or keep in mind too, this is just generally that even though you are a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, a passport is not given to you as of right, because you have to remember that every country's travel document is that belonging to the country essentially. So if you have somebody who's doing that, there may potentially be a cancellation of your passport. But they're not just going to cancel you mid-air, you will be notified and all of that. But generally, like I said, it has been my experience, and I can only speak of my experience, that the applicants who I am aware of have been good. I have not seen their names on any lists appearing anywhere or on national or international television or blogs.
Right. Well, that's good to know. That's excellent to know. All right. I think this would be a nice place to bring the curtain down on this interview. Keinya, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I really enjoyed it. And I know that my audience will learn a lot from this whole topic of citizenship by investment, because even though it has been around for so long, it's not something that figures in Trinidad and Tobago. So you find that it's something that is so interesting to learn about. All right. So I would just like to sincerely thank you. I don't know if you have any final words that you'd like to say on this topic.
Oh, it is my pleasure to be a part and to let people know what the other territories are offering. And like I said, I believe in the citizenship by investment program, because you have to look at a society that is about 53,000 people, roughly 53,000 people. You want to advance your society beyond sugar, because remember, when we say diversification here would have meant for the citizens of this country to make the decision to use that Citizenship Act to their benefit. And I think they certainly have done so. And I can see all the benefits that has happened. And I think it is something good for this jurisdiction, who offers tourism and financial services as well as a part of their package in terms of how they do business. So definitely it is something to consider. I think it's really good, but you have to have all your checks and balances in place and do what you need to do and come to think it and leave it.
Lovely. I hope to visit that country one day. I really, really hope so. Everything in God's timing. All right. So this has brought us to the end of another episode of the Legal Corner podcast series. Remember to check us out on social media. On Facebook, we are the Legal Corner podcast series. On Instagram, we are at the Legal Corner podcast. We are also on Patreon if you are interested in supporting our work. If you enjoyed the show, we'd like to ask you to share it with your friends and family. Feel free to leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. We'd also love it if you subscribe to our podcast so you won't miss any of our future episodes. Special thanks to the members of our promotional team who are helping us to get our message out. Bye for now, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Legal Corner podcast series. For more information, please visit us at our Facebook or Instagram pages, or send your comments to thelegalcornerpodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.